Okay. Hi, this is Quinn Costello with the SF Indie Fest Green Festival, and I am really excited to talk with another group of filmmakers today in the Enviro Shorts program at the Green Film Festival. So let's see, we just had a couple more people joining here. I'll let them kind of get get their audio video going. But Owen, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Owen Claudy. I directed and animated the film Of Wood. I don't know
Cool.
how far
Thank you.
want.
That's good. We'll go back around in just a moment. Helene?
Yes, my name is Helene Molkelet, and I directed the film I See.
Cool. Lucas?
Yes, I'm Lucas. I'm the director of 3.5%, and I also did the visual effects. And the guy that joined is my friend Jan, who did the sound design and music.
Oh, cool. Jan, do you want to say hi real quick?
Yes, of course. Hi, glad to be here.
Thank you for coming. And I know we have Meg here by audio. Meg, do you want to say hi and what film you're with?
Hi, my name is Meg Griffin, and I am the director and a videographer and editor of the film
Connected. Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. I think since it was first in the program, maybe we'll start with Lucas and Jan. So can you guys start by just talking about how you came to this story and talk a little bit about your process in making this film?
Sure. It started as it's my graduation film. It started just as part of the story development phase that we all went through at film school. And I always had in mind to do something with visual effects because it's a thing that I plan to pursue professionally, and I am actually doing now as my full-time profession. But back then I knew that I wanted to combine visual effects with a climate crisis, the topic of climate crisis, because it's a thing that's dear to my heart for a long time. It's also a cause of a lot of anxiety for me. So I kind of wanted to give those anxieties I have visuals in a way. That was how it started. And as I studied in Lucerne, which is a pretty well-known European city that has a lot of water, I found it interesting to base my film there and kind of remove the element that is most important for Lucerne, which is water. So I kind of set it in a drought scenario where the climate crisis was basically had melted all the glaciers and removed all the water from Lucerne. So it was kind of turning into this dusty, deserty city.
Mm. And can you kind of talk about connecting the words of the Western Fuel Association CEO with Greta Thunberg and what you were kind of hoping to expose with that juxtaposition?
Yes, I mean, initially the idea was to only work with quotations from oil company CEOs to just have this juxtaposition of them not actually denying the climate crisis anymore, but kind of taming it down or talking about what they actually provide to humanity with the energy they provide and the options they give people to get out of poverty, to juxtapose that with the actual destruction they cause or caused in this fictional scenario to Lucerne. And then that didn't quite work out in the edit, so I kind of found it to be more effective to actually connect it to something that is very well known and very related to when you think about the climate crisis and the politics about it. So Greta Thunberg was a natural fit for that. So it was this juxtaposition that I kind of still wanted to keep. So I had this this pretty ironic quote in the beginning about this oil man celebrating the benefits of their product, and then just kind of begin to slowly, gradually reveal the destruction that actually happened in this world.
And Jan, you did the sound design on the film?
Yes, that's correct. I joined pretty early in the process, as we've been making films and other projects for years. Lucas asked me pretty early on if I wanted to be part of this endeavor, and I gladly joined, and also was sort of someone to bounce ideas off and to give feedback even in early stages of the story developing. And sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think you were probably headed in there, and I just interrupted you. But can you kind of talk about some of the creative choices that you were making along those lines? And when this film, is kind of relies really heavily on creating that kind of atmosphere. So, what is your kind of philosophy when you're kind of setting out to sound design something like this?
Atmosphere is the keyword here. I wanted it to be really sparse, as are the images, the absence of water, of people. So that influenced both the sound design approach as well as the musical approach. So the music, we decided against something more pompous or Hollywood-esque in favor of the piano. Sort of as a dialogue between Greta and this lonely piano. And the sound design was something I hadn't really done before. Sound design for animation was something that was new to me, but a very a welcome challenge to really examine the images and to search for possible sources of sound, and then tell the story of the emptiness of this world through sound and the absence of sound, so to speak.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your film with us here. It was really, really quite amazing to have it as part of this program. And Meg, I wanted to switch over to you and talk a little bit about Connected. Can you just talk about how you kind of came to that film, and some of what you were thinking about, and when you were setting out to make it?
Absolutely. So Connected is a film that I didn't conceptualize until I had actually gathered all of the content. I am a scuba diver, and I've been an underwater videographer professional now for 7 years. And I had the opportunity to go diving in Florida quite often. And I've had my own system, and we have clients with our Making Waves productions. And I have had the opportunity to film a lot of incredible ocean life through my dives. And every time I filmed a sea creature, it was like, I worked at this camera shop, and it was an underwater camera shop, and we sold cameras to a bunch of people, and there were these things called bucket list critters and bucket list creatures, and people would go and see these bucket list creatures like sharks and manatees, and they would go and check them off a list and then show beautiful photos and videos of it and move on with their day. And they wouldn't ever pay attention to the scars on the manatees' backs from the boat propellers, or the hooks in the sharks' mouths, or the holes in the coral from the tires that they put into the waters of Fort Lauderdale to create an artificial reef. The tires did not stay together. This is back in like the 80s. And then the Florida's barrier reef has tire holes in it. That's one of the first things that I show. So I started filming because I'm a documentarian. I went to school to be a documentary film producer, and then I got to go to Thailand to become an underwater videographer. And every time I filmed something beautiful, I filmed the hurt with it because I couldn't not. And there was just so much hurt every time there was something beautiful. There was hurt. There was like a beautiful manatee in beautiful sun rays with propeller marks down its back and a lure growing into its tail. overwhelming me with sadness to the extent where I got tunnel vision to, I just wanted to document these things. And then that's where I really got the idea that these animals, a lot of people put their ego into their videos with underwater videos, specifically my industry that I've worked in for a long time. And I wanted to take my ego out of this video, and I wanted to tell the story of the creatures and the life that I see every day that's crying for help. So that's why that's why I actually chose, I heard this song, and it was just a song about alien connectivity, connecting with alien life forms and sort of showing them, like telling their story. And everyone compares blackwater creatures to alien life forms. And if you're not familiar with blackwater creatures, they're in my film as well. And they are in the Gulf Stream. We go in the Gulf Stream at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night when it's pitch black. And we drop, it's about 1,000 feet of water. We drop into about 60. We drop a light that drops down to 60, and we just float with the light for 2 hours. And these creatures are all coming up from the depth. And sometimes you go to see a creature and you go to film it, and then it's garbage. And so that's where I wanted to sort of throw in like these, we have so many things in Florida that people just, they look at us and they think that we're this beautiful vacation destination. And I mean, I'm sitting here in Fort Myers, Florida after a hurricane, and I'm looking at a car in the ditch, and I've just watched countless tons of pollution enter our waterways. And I'm just wondering what our next year is going to be like. And this is just year after year. And I had to tell Florida's story in the way that I needed to, because it was, nobody knows exactly how bad it is until you just go diving and you see it, but not everyone can. So I'm trying to bring it to those who can.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us, and best of luck to you as you kind of continue on down there with your filmmaking and then the rebuilding efforts and everything.
Thank you. And
yeah,
it's there's a lot going on here, and I thankfully live on the East Coast. My family lives on the West Coast, and that's where I'm coming here to help them. But this is just another shining example of how people don't understand what is going on in Florida. And I think it's everywhere. I think people don't understand what's going on in California. People don't understand what's going on in New Jersey. And it's just, I'm trying to shed light in the most beautiful way possible so that people are compelled to watch instead of shamed to watch. So that's where Connected came in. It was trying to tell these sad stories in the most beautiful way possible. And I mean, honestly, I couldn't even think of a more appropriate time to be telling this story, because I'm surrounded by community who have been helping each other all day. And it's just the beautiful part of like such a disgusting, terrible thing. And it's not the catastrophe of the storm that was terrible. It's how people didn't understand that the water levels would get that high. And they didn't believe that global warming would cause this. And that's the root of all of it. It's why I made Connected, and it's really interesting that I'm talking to you right now on this day. So I don't mean to pull in my current situation too much, but it is
right.
harrowing to witness all of this, the power of climate change.
Right.
It's here. People didn't think that the storm surge would be 12 to 15 feet, but it was.
Right.
Anyways, thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for taking the time to call in to be with us, and thank you for making this film. I hope you continue to create work down there, and hopefully, I think connecting these images like you've done, to the space will hopefully give people more of a sense of what is really at stake. So,
and not trying to make it negative. There's a lot of hope here too. So
absolutely. So thank you. And I wanted to switch over to Owen. Owen, can you talk a little bit about how you kind of came to the idea of wood and speak to the technical process of making this film, and I guess why stop motion would be a good tool for telling the story?
Interestingly, yeah, I had spent many years in the industry doing stop motion animation and computer graphics, but always my heart was always in stop motion. And basically, I finally got around to making my own film. I knew I wanted to do something, but I didn't know what. So I just started with my love of wood and trees and wood sculpture. I've never done any sculpture or anything, but just thought that would be something to work on. But I wanted to do something new and different instead of just animating wooden puppets. So I decided to try carving into wood, and I did a clay test first just to see how the bas relief, how shadowing would work and how I'd have to light it. And so really the whole film started out as a technical experiment, basically. And then, but it made sense to go in the direction of sort of environmental theme, in this case about excessive consumerism, because I wanted to show how wood was used through the ages and how out of control things have gotten. So anyway, I started with an 18-inch round of wood and progressively carved my way through it to create the animation. And I also have stuff coming out of the wood, things made of wood and everything. So yeah, it started out as a technical experiment that just kind of went horribly wrong. And ended up taking 4 years to shoot and that kind of thing. So, but
do you have a connection to wood in the sense of like, do you have, have you worked with wood in other capacities, or is this just something you kind of went for just to see how it worked?
Well, growing up in Wisconsin, I just liked, wood and trees and forests and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I appreciate wood sculpture. I've never done any. To do this film, I actually took a little, like 5 Saturday afternoon classes at the local art school of how to do wood carving, to learn the basic tools and techniques and stuff, and then just kind of jumped in, mostly leaning on my animation skills to figure out how to make wood animate. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I've never done much or anything really before.
Do you anticipate continuing to work in this medium?
No. No, it's pretty tough. If somebody started throwing money at like a 30-second commercial or something, I would do that,
sure.
possibly. But no, it's tough. It was not an easy thing to work with, which is why nobody's ever done it before. So yeah, I don't think so. I mean, never know, right? But,
yeah. Well, it's nice to kind of put that animation allows you to really kind of push the boundaries and stretch out a little bit, and
that's
try new things. You have to be very experimental.
Right. And that's why I wanted to do it. Yeah. And it was very experimental because I really couldn't plan it out as you normally would ahead of time. I didn't have storyboards. I just had the idea, basic flow of things in my mind, and had to do the whole thing. It's one continuous shot. The whole 7-minute film is one shot. And, it was really something that couldn't be planned out very well. So.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing this film with us. And Helene, I'm sorry, can you pronounce your name again? It's Helene. Helene. Okay. Helene. So I'm sorry. Can you kind of talk a little bit about coming to the idea of this film and what your process was like?
Sure. It started out with I wrote the text, the voiceover text for the film. I mean, I've always worked very well when it's in the middle of the night and I can't sleep and the city's quiet and nobody is expecting anything of me. Then there's creative flow, and so I actually wrote the text like 4 years ago, and but it was like really difficult to visualize it. I mean, the title I see, it's the letters I see, but video means to see. And then, I mean, so this video is seeing these things, and it's also, I use the letters because the letter C climate care, COP26, all starts with a C. So, and the letters IC is like pronounced like I see. So it's a video that is, or the film that is actually seeing these things, and it is the film itself that is the protagonist. It is not the individual voices, and that was why it was hard to sort of visualize, because I didn't want to see the faces of the people talking, because I really wanted to play with the people's imaginations and our prejudices, because it is of course about the climate, but it starts with being by identity and gender and sexuality and race and all this, because I mean we are all like on these individuals things in the world, but it, I mean, and that's of course important, but with the things we're facing right now, it doesn't really matter, because everybody is on thread. And I sort of wrote the script 4 years ago, but then when the IPCC report that came in August 21, when I read that, I mean, that is so alerting, that is so devastating and so serious. So it was just like, okay, I have to do something with I can work with. So we didn't have any money or anything, but I gathered together a really talented crew, and that's sort of the positive things when people come together with a shared vision, you can actually do incredible things. I mean, yeah, there's lots of, I mean, on the sound image, I mean, I wanted to use a heartbeat as a kicking drum, because I mean, if we don't have a heartbeat, we will die. But then I have used a ticking clock as a hi-hat, because we're running out of time. So that was important to do in this sort of in the sound picture. And we did it very short, because the IPCC report came in August, and I sort of gathered a team the 3rd of September, and we wanted to get it done to COP26, where the big climate meeting. And so we did it in 8 weeks, and then it was like also very important for me, because if we have to change the way we are in the world, I also need to change the way I work. So it was I filmed some of the material myself on a small Leica camera, using that has very little charging, and a bicycled around and so on, and the rest I got licensed to use stock footage. So it's also a statement at instead of going out doing a big budgets and doing fancy stuff, then use some of the material that is, because that's a call out for recycling, and also it's sort of a statement of co-creation, because actually the piece I put together is created with people all over the world in that, and also the film is not based in one location, it's all over the world, because this is serious for the whole world.
And can you kind of talk about rain as a recurring theme in the piece?
Yes, rain was very important to me, because I mean, especially because it's a direct reference to the first Blade Runner movie, and then also because rain occurred in all the 4 seasons, and the 4th season is a narrative through the film. And then also so there's both rain in some of the pictures, but also we used the sound of being under the surface of water, and then dripping water, because I mean, if we continue overheating our planet, I mean, the ice will melt, and we will be flooded, or a lot of people will be flooded, and there will come more rain from the sky and so on. So I thought it was very important to work with that, both in the pictures and also in the sound picture.
Well, thank you all so much for being a part of this festival and for telling your stories. And we really look forward to seeing where y'all go next. So anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right.